Hello, so creative, it's Faustina here. Welcome to another interesting tutorial. On today's tutorial, we are going to learn how to cut and sew this beautiful bubu kaftan gown. You see how beautiful it's looking on me. It's giving this big anti vibe effect. So if it's something that you like to learn how I cut and sew it, please keep watching. And also don't forget to like, comment, and also press the notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified each time we post our beautiful video. And if today is your first time of coming to my channel, please don't forget to also subscribe and also give us a thumbs up. So for the cutting and sewing of this cloth, you have to pay very close attention because the cutting and sewing was very technical, but it was not hard, but rather it was technical. So we cut our beautiful gown with 3.5 yards of liquid mikado. So we are going to now start folding the fabric. So this is how we go about the folding part. The 3.5, we folded it into 2 equal halves firstly, after which we are going to now proceed and also fold again from the length of our fabric. So the length of our fabric is 60 inches length. So after folding the 3.5 inches into 2 equal halves, we now fold from the length of our fabric like so that we have a completely folded shoulder. I don't want our shoulder to have a joining. So this is how you go about your folding of fabric. I don't want the shoulder to have a joining, so I have to fold from the length of our fabric so that we have a completely folded shoulder. So before we fold the length of our fabric into 2 equal halves, we are firstly going to cut out a long 5 inches long strip of fabric, which will serve as our front center lapel. If you watch closely on the video, you will see that the center front has a kind of lapel on the front. So this long strip of fabric will serve as our center front lapel. So you have to cut it out and now keep it aside before we now start working on our main fabric. So if you watch closely, you will now see that the shoulder is completely folded. So we don't need any joining on that shoulder. So the completely folded shoulder is both for the front and the back of our beautiful bubu kaftan gown. So we now proceed in imputing our body measurement. So from our shoulder, I'm going to come down by 12 inches for my armhole opening. Remember that it's a bubu kaftan, so the armhole or chest line need to be free. So on that armhole opening, we are going to impute our hip divide by 4 measurement plus extra in 5 inches is allowance. Remember, it's a bubu kaftan gown. So from our shoulder too, we're also going to mark out our waist line, and on that waistline we're also going to impute our hip divide by 4 plus 5 inches is allowance on the waistline too. While on the hip, we are also going to impute our hip divide by 4 plus 5 inches is allowance. So if you watch closely, you will see that the side of this gown has a dropping. So from our hip we came up by 3 inches, and from our bust we are going to now draw the dropping to meet the 3 inches that we came off from the hip area. Like so, you can see how I'm trying to draw the dropping by the side of our bubu kaftan gown. So after which we are now going to now straighten it up all the way to the hem of our beautiful gown. So the value we have on the hip area, we are going to also impute it on the hem part of our beautiful bubu kaftan gown, and we are going to straighten it up all the way to the hem. So after straightening it up all the way to the hem, we now proceed in cutting it out. So this is how yours should look like after imputing your body measurement. So this is how yours should look like. So we now proceed in cutting out our drafted fabric. So I went ahead to cut it out. So after cutting it out, we go ahead and iron out the shoulder and the center front of our beautiful bubu kaftan so that we will have the crease line of the shoulder and the center part, because we are going to open it up. So this is how yours should look like after cutting. This is how yours should look like. So I've gone ahead to iron the shoulder, as you can see, and the center front of our bubu kaftan. So one side will serve as the front part while the other side will serve as the back. So from the intersection of both the center front and the center back, I'm going to input our shoulder measurement of 9 inches, and from that 9 inches I'm going to mark out 7 inches, and that 7 inches I'm going to drag it to come and meet our shoulder measurement of 9 inches, like so. I'm now going to start pinning it down. The essence of ironing it out is so that you get your crease line. Remember, we have not cut the neck of our beautiful bubu kaftan. So I went ahead to pin it down. For the front, we are going to mark out 15 inches after pinning down, while for the back we mark out 12 inches length. So I went ahead to pin it. You can see I'm trying to pin it. So after pinning it, I will now go ahead and iron it flat on my ironing table. But before I iron it, I'm going to mark out for the front 15 inches, while for the back 12 inches. So I will know the one I'm using for my front and the part I'm using for my back. So this is how you go about it. I also repeat the same thing on the other side so that you understand what I'm trying to say. From the intersection of both the center front and the center back, I'm going to mark out our shoulder measurement, and also mark from our shoulder measurement I mark out 7 inches, which I drag the 7 inches to come and meet our shoulder measurement of 9 inches. And I went ahead to pin it down, like so. Using that value, I went ahead to drag it and pin it down, like so, both the front and the back. For the front, we have 15 inches length, while the back we have 12 inches length. So after pinning it down, I move over to my ironing table and iron it flat before I go ahead and now run a stitch on it. So after I'm trying to pin it down, after pinning it down, I will now move straight to my ironing table and go and iron it flat, like so. You can see what I'm trying to do. For the front, we also mark out 15 inches, and for the back we mark out 12 inches, so that we know which one is our front part and our back part. So I've gone ahead to iron it flat. You see how beautiful and neat is looking. So we now go ahead and now sew that 15 inches to come and meet that 12 inches for the back. We are now going to do it for the tutu side. I'm going to run a straight stitch from the 15 inches down to the 12 inches for the back. So I'll quickly move over to my sewing machine and go and run the stitches and come and show you. So I've gone ahead to run the stitches and keep the printed pattern in place. You can see. So since I've gotten my front and back, I'm going to now fold both the front center and the back center back to its original shape, so that we can go ahead and cut out the neck of our beautiful gown. So after folding it, we are going to, from the center of intersection of the center of both the front and the back, we are going to now input our neck width of 3.5 inches, like so. And see, from the intersection both the front and the back, we are going to input our neck width of 3.5 inches, like so. So for the front, we are going to come down by 8 inches, because we will be adding like a V turtleneck on that front part, while for the back neck depth we are going to go down by 1 inch. So remember, we are going to put a lapel on that center front. So I'm trying to mark out 1 inches from the 8 inches I came down from. I'm going to mark out 1 inches all the way to the hem of our beautiful center front gown. So for the back, I came down by 1 inches, and I now do it like so. You see what I'm trying to do? So I'm now going to use 1 inches to cut all the way down to the hem of our center front, like so. So you see what I'm trying to do. I will now keep marking that 1 inches all the way down. So after getting it, I will now start cutting it. You see what I'm trying to do. I'm cutting at the neck like so. That 1 inches, why we remove 1 inches from the center front is because we are going to replace it with that lapel. That 1 inches is for the both side. The lapel will be 1.5 inches. Why we didn't remove 1.5 inches from our main fabric is because we are going to use 0.5 inches and now sew in the lapel. So after cutting out your center front opening, we are now going to measure what we have on our neck part from our back neck to the hem of our center front, so that we can get the value that we are going to use and cut out our long strip of fabric for our lapel. So any value that you have there, you are going to times it by 2. So after getting the value, we are also going to measure out where we want our v-neck to stop. So I have to measure all around the back neckline, and also from the shoulder of the front I went down by 9 inches. All around the back neckline was 4 inches, while I want my v to start from 9 inches. So that 9 inches plus 4 inches, I will have like 13 inches length. So for the long strip, I've gone ahead to cut it out. So we are now going to fold it into 2 equal halves. Remember that the long strip was, let me say, the measurement we have on our main fabric was 64. That 64 times 2 will give us 128. So that 128, we are going to fold it into 2 equal halves. So from the folded area, we are going to come down by 13 inches. That 13 inches will serve as the front V opening, and for the back neck line. So remember, the front V opening was 9, while our back neckline was 4, which in total we have 13. So after coming down by 13, the remaining value, we are going to find the center. The remaining strip of fabric, we are going to find the center of the material, so that we are going to sew that center. Make sure that while dividing the center, they are both equal. They will be both equal. So I went ahead to pin it down so that I can put it in place. And also for the hem part of our center front, we have a slit on that center front. So we are going to impute the length of our slit from the hem all the way to the place we want the center slit to stop. So after getting the value, I will now proceed and complete our marking of the center part on this long 5 inches long strip of fabric. So after getting that center part, I will now move over to my sewing machine and run a straight stitch on that center part. So I've gone ahead to run a stitch on it. You can see how beautiful it's looking. So I'm now going to open it up like so. So when you open it up, this is what you are going to have. The center part is completely sewn, and we are going to move over to our ironing, so that we can go and iron it flat and keep it in place. So I've gone ahead to iron it flat and keep it in place. So this is the outcome of it. You see how beautiful our long strip or lapel is looking. So I will now go ahead and now notch the center part of the lapel like so. After notching it, we now introduce our main fabric. So I also notch the center back of our main bubu kaftan gown. So I'm now going to place the lapel center to go and meet the center part of our back bubu kaftan gown like so. After meeting the two center parts, I'm going to pin it down, and I will now start pinning all around our center front like so. So I'm now going to pin the lapel all around the center front like so. I will now pin it all the way to the hem of our center front. So I keep on pinning it like this. So the essence of ironing it flat is to keep the lapel in place, so that while working with it, it will be very easy for you to work with. So this is how I go about pinning it until I get to the hem part of our center front bubu kaftan gown. So after pinning it, I will now move over to my sewing machine and go and run a stitch on it, after which we will now proceed in pinning the other side of the center front. But before we pin the other side, I'll firstly go over to my sewing machine and go and run a stitch on it before I will now show you how to pin the other side of the of our bubu gown. So I've gone ahead to sew it. So this is the outcome. I've sewn it and keep it in place. So we now start pinning down the other side of the center front. So we are just basically going to flip the other side to the other side of the lapel to go and meet the other side of our bubu kaftan gown, like so, the center part. So we now start pinning it. So the trick on how to pin the other side is just basically to turn our bubu kaftan to the wrong side. So you have to turn your bubu kaftan to the wrong side so that it will be very very easy for you to pin down. You can see what I'm trying to do. I turn it to the wrong side, and after turning it to the wrong side, the lapel now relax on its own. So I have to go ahead and now pin it down like so. So this is how you go about pinning it down. You now pin it like we pin the other side all the way to the hem of your bubu kaftan gown. So after pinning it down, I also move ahead to my sewing machine and go and run a stitch on it and come and show you the outcome. So after running a stitch, I'll also move over to my ironing table and iron it flat also, so that we will have a very neat and beautiful outcome. So I'm trying to pin it down. So remember, like I like working with pin so that my work will be so easy and fine and also nice after sewing. So normalize working with pin also. So this is the outcome. You see how beautiful it's looking. So I've gone ahead to iron the center part flat too. You can see that our slit from the hem to the length of our slit, and our neck opening, which is our v-neck opening on the v area. So I'm basically going to hem the sleeve like so, and after hemming the sleeve, I'm going to close up the side by the 1 inch sewing allowance that we kept earlier. So I'm going to do it on the tutu side of our beautiful kaftan gown. So I've gone ahead to sew it. So this is it. I also hemmed the down part of our bubu kaftan gown. So this is the end of our beautiful tutorial. So if you have watched to this point and you in any part you find so helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and also press the notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified. Bye. I love you all.